Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name's Richard. Here I am in Agadir, over in Morocco. Again, beautiful weather, early January, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Today what we're going to be doing is talking about a winter hike. What does really a winter hike mean in the 21st century? Now that's completely different to when I was in the late 1980s, early 1990s, and I had no other option than use a winter hike to get to work and back. However, let's talk about that today. But before we get started, let me just show you what the guys here in Agadir ride. And there's another one, just riding through. Now this is a Peugeot 50cc scooter, and these fly. The guys that are using them absolutely fly around. These little 50cc's are not like 2.5 horsepower. They really do go. Absolutely magnificent. I would have loved to have hired one out, but not today, I fear. Here's another. In fact, here we are. Just look at this. Just look at it. And they tend to push start them. These guys push start them. And then they're off. Absolutely magnificent. There are a lot of cars around that are fairly old over here. And here is one. There's Citroen, or is it a Renault? I don't know. It's a Renault 4. Absolutely beautiful. There are loads of these here. Absolutely loads. And everybody's driving them around, not a problem. And the next car, where is it? That there are loads of, excuse the cough, is the Peugeot 205. Now I've not seen many 205 GTIs or rallies. They all seem to be practical cars over here. There are tons of them. Everybody's driving the 205. I can appreciate that one's had a bit of a ding. But I guess most of the stuff here has had a bit of a ding. Look at that. That is worth nothing. Absolutely worth nothing. There are other cars. In fact, let me just spin it around. There are some newer cars, but not as many as what you would find in the Western world. It's very Arabic here, even though they do speak French. And, you know, it's not like living in Qatar. It's just not like living in Qatar, where there's loads of expensive cars and things, but that's not the case here. There we are. Yet another scooter. Absolutely unbelievable. Okay, let's go and have a look at the beach. Let's have a look at the beach. Absolutely beautiful out here. If you're thinking about having a week off, why don't you come to Agadir and just chill out? Why not? And then maybe you don't need to consider getting a winter hike. So there's a lot of talk about winter hikes at the moment, and to be fair, on previous videos I have said that I've gone and bought the Triumph Scrambler 400X in 2024 to be my winter hike, taking me through till March, April 2025, and I am riding it. Obviously this week while I'm in Agadir, I am not riding it. Yeah? But with the winter hike, what is the winter hike? Now, we hear a lot about what we should be riding as a winter hike and when we should be riding it. But let's figure out what a winter hike is. Now, when I was in the 1980s, early 90s, trying to get to work in the midst of winter, in the hills of Sheffield, where the snow would come down, my winter hike would have been something like a Honda CB 100N. Does everybody remember those? The Honda CB 100N. Now, I would pick that bike because it was fairly thin. I could get my feet on the ground, so if there was any problem with traction and ice and all that good stuff, I could get myself out of a situation. It was covered in steel, so it would rust, so I would buy it for next to nothing, and I would make sure that it was serviceable and could get me back and forward to work and home. Whilst all the cars and that, the few cars that would have been on the road then, would be stuck in the snow, and I could be able to pound through on the ice and the snow to be able to get to work and turn up for work. British Telecom at that time. No use in taking a car because you just couldn't get through the hills of Sheffield because of the snow. So I'd go to work on something like a CB 100N or no thank you, or a Suzuki GP 100, a Guppy 100 or a Guppy 125. Something that's thin, something that's light, something that you can put your feet down on the ground and help you through the bad snow or whatever to get you back and forward to work and that. That's all you're looking at. That's what I was looking at. Things are different today. Things are different today. Let's go for a walk. Things are different today. Because we have lots and lots of choice. We don't have this problem where we can't afford a car. Or maybe you can't afford a car, but you still have a car. Yeah, let's not talk about economics and financials and all that good stuff. We don't want to be talking about that. So we don't want to be talking about financials. Let's talk about practicality. People are looking at me as if I am super weird, holding this camera. So funny. It's very hard to ignore it. They just look at you like this. It's like I've landed from a different planet. It really is. Anyway, so let's be clear. If you buy a bike for a winter hike, then you've got to be able to expect the upset of when you'd end up dropping it. Not necessarily at a fast speed, but let's understand it. You've got to be able to get to the point where if you drop the bike, you don't get upset about it. That's what a winter hack is. When you drop it, you might bend your gear lever. You may bend your foot brake lever, or the levers on your handlebars. Maybe a bent handlebar, but that's about it. Maybe a dent in the tank. If you can't accept that level of damage when you ride a winter hike, then you shouldn't be riding in the winter. Is that fair comment? Or is it rubbish? Comment below. There's no use in taking out a Tiger 900 and then slipping it on a bit of ice or snow. and then complaining that all the plastics have been scratched or cracked, of which will cost hundreds to repair or replace. So today, I now have the Scrambler 400X, and I know that there's very little on that bike to get damaged should I end up dropping it due to losing it on a bit of ice, a bit of snow, a bit of mud, and I bend the gear lever or the foot brake pedal, which I then bend back with a piece of scaffolding pipe. That's what a winter's hack is. There's no plastic on it. There's not a lot of anything on it. There's no plastics to be snapped and things like that. Am I thinking wrong? Is it just me? Or does a winter hack now mean a cheaper ADV, an adventure bike that's covered in plastic, covered in fairings, got the rack on the back for pannier that's waiting to be bent when you drop it? I don't know. What do you think? You tell me. I'm fortunate enough where I went and bought the Scrambler 400X as a winter hike. And I know that if I drop it due to snow and ice, I'll be okay. I'll be able to fix it. I'll be able to get my cheap £99 toolkit out with a couple of scaffolding poles and straighten everything back up. And then when it comes to summer, I'll then take off what's been bent and replace it via parts off eBay, etc., etc. If you know what I mean. Oh my God, it's gorgeous out here. It's absolutely gorgeous. Please excuse me if I'm coughing or sniffing. I came over here to Agadir with a fairly nasty cough and ended up spending the first 3 days in bed in the pharmaceutical shop, trying to drug myself up to get me to the point where I was hoping to hire out a couple of motorbikes and enjoy the ride out here. I don't think that's going to happen now. I really don't, because I still don't feel up to riding around at this moment in time. But the weather is absolutely superb. People are still looking at me as if I've stepped out of a UFO. Just to make you aware, it's not easy walking around in public with a camera in your hand and talking to yourself. So any like for the video would be much appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed, it really does help. And for those that are already subscribed, thank you ever so much. I really, really do appreciate it. So what do you think a winter's hack is? If I couldn't afford a brand new Scrambler 400X today, what would I go and buy? I'd go and buy a Honda CB 100N from the 1980s or a Honda CG 125 and use that. But generally speaking, we don't need a winter's hike because nowadays most people have got a car and they go to work in the car, don't they? That's what they do. Look at this. Here we are. Let me flip this round. Just look at that. What else can £500 buy you for 9 days? £500 for 9 days. What do you think? So, to be honest, I don't think there's anything as such as a winter's hack anymore, actually. There are very, very few people, and I know there are people that do this, but there are very few people nowadays that have to still go to work on a motorbike in the midst of winter. Very few people. We're much richer today than we ever have been. And subsequently you go to work in your car, or you'll go and work from home, if you're like me. I work from home, I'm very fortunate. My winter's hike, the Scrambler 400X, is purely for pleasure and entertaining yourself on videos like this. So, from my perspective, a winter's hike is a light bike where you can get both feet flat on the ground and there are no plastics to be snapped or anything like that. What's your version of a winter's hike? You tell me. Hope you found this thought-provoking. Hope you found it inspiring. Don't forget to give the video a like. Much appreciated. Ride safely and be kind to everyone whilst I walk the promenade here in Agadir. Beautiful weather. Absolutely beautiful weather. And the food out here is unbelievably good and unbelievably cheap. I was going to go to Tenerife, but that was going to cost me somewhere in the region of 1,300, about £1,600, maybe £1,700. Here in Morocco, £580, including the 9 days car parking at Manchester Airport. £580. There you go. You can't lose here. It's cheaper to come in here, to come to Agadir, than it is living in the UK. Anyway, ride safely, be kind to everyone, and I shall see you very soon. What is a winter's hike? Comments below. See you later. Bye bye.